Every day I wonder why peace on earth so hard to find. Real peace begins inside, in our hearts and in our minds. That's where it really becomes something else other than just a gimmick. I generally play what I play. You know, my music is really a distillation of all of those things. You know, I put all of the influences and things that I like into my music, and that's what I play everywhere. For me, the key is to be open to being inspired by anything, and to usually I kind of accumulate different ideas while I'm traveling or something like that, and then when I'm home I write, you know, I start to work on the songs. Music is more a way to get lyrics going rather than the other way around, although I write you know, words every day. You know, I keep a journal and stuff like that. I've always been interested in multitasking, you know, and even playing the guitar in different ways, not just strumming the guitar and singing, but separating the guitar and thinking of it more as an orchestra. So playing, you know, some bass line and some chords and singing. So
when I was a little boy, vivid dreams were my favorite toys. Sweet music set me free. I close my eyes to see the invisible change.
The bongo thing, actually, interesting enough, that were two things or events that led to that. One of them was I started to work with Richard Bühne, and Richard is an extraordinary performer on stage, solo. Like, he is one of the most amazing solo performers. So for me, it was kind of like, almost like, wow, if I'm going to be on the stage with this guy, I got to figure out something I can do, you know, to I wouldn't say compete, but to sort of hold my own, you know, with him on the stage. The other thing, which actually just came back to me, was that when I was in Hamburg, I did a show in Hamburg back in 2008, and I had lost my voice. I couldn't sing, really. It was actually, and I was on stage solo, and I had the idea to try to do some sort of bongo and guitar thing at the same time, just to give the people some kind of a show. So it started from there.
Every day I wonder why peace on earth so hard to find. Real peace begins inside, in our hearts and in our minds. Hearts and minds begin to see that one and all means you and me, and what we know can set us free. Rearrange reality. Reality is what we know. We can change a river flow.
The fundamental part is really easy. It's just, I'm just shaping my lips and then using the voice. The trick is really the pitch and the articulation. You know, and so what, you know, sort of doing the sound is something I guess everybody can sort of do. But then to get it to really be an instrument, that's where it really becomes something else other than just a gimmick. There were two people that I really listened to a lot. I mean, I listened to a lot of trumpet players, but one of them was Clifford Brown, a great jazz trumpet player that died too young. Had a very, very clear, beautiful articulation. And of course, the other person was Miles Davis. I kind of started playing solo when I moved to New York. It sort of became, it started out just as a practical thing, and then it became, you know, a practical thing in terms of, you know, not having to rehearse a band and not being able to get people to rehearse or be able to pay them or whatever. So, I have and in the future played with bands. I mean, I worked with Richard Bona and a band with him, and I worked with Liz Wright last summer, and we put a band together, and we kind of did kind of a co-bill, you know, just playing each other's songs, and we also wrote a song together. So I think playing solo is always going to be a part of what I do, but I also enjoy playing with bands. Okay, so obviously one of the things that I did in my song State of Mind is I use the guitar kind of as a drum, and there's a lot of video of this. So.
About the future, worrying about the future don't change the past. Used to think tomorrow would be better, but now I know that I'm doing the best that I can.
So that's one thing, and basically I'm using both hands to create the rhythm. So, you know, and I'm hitting the guitar kind of with sort of the edge of my palm. Another thing that I do with for instance, we were talking about the bongos, and I can just kind of use the guitar. So basically, with my left hand, I'm doing what's called a hammer-on. So I actually play the bass just with this hand here. And then...
Every day I wonder why peace on earth so hard to find. Real peace begins inside, in our hearts and in our minds. Hearts and minds begin to see that one and all means you and me, and what we know can set us free. Rearrange reality. Reality is what we know. We can change where the rivers flow.
So I'm actually using the left hand to create the notes. And then it takes a while to be able to, for instance, do what I'm doing right now, which is play and talk at the same time. But to then... The process of getting it to go is kind of tedious and boring. The end result is cool, but you know, the plan this year is to tour, and while I'm not touring, is to make the next record, which will hopefully be coming out in 2014, the beginning of 2014. I'm going to take a crack at producing my own record this time. I mean, I worked with Arif Martin, I worked with Larry Klein, and it's a whole new world now in recording, especially for artists like us. You know, it's all about having direct contact with the fans. It's not about labels and big name producers anymore. You know, for me anyway. What song?